Welcome back to PodX Studio. Today, we're diving into the Mughal Empire.
Okay.
Specifically for those of you who are new to this whole fascinating slice of history.
Right.
We're going beyond just names and dates.
Yeah.
To understand what made this empire tick.
Absolutely. And the really cool thing is we're doing it through this unique lens.
Okay.
These daily class notes from a medieval history lecture.
Oh, wow.
It's like getting a firsthand peek into how someone learning about the Mughals for the first time is processing all this information.
So no dusty textbooks this time.
No.
We're going for a fresh, almost insider perspective.
Exactly.
What kind of nuggets of gold did you find in these notes?
Oh, they're packed with insights on the Mughal rulers, their policies, and even some, juicy tidbits about their personalities.
That's fine.
But what really stood out to me was the way these notes capture the administrative brilliance of the Mughal Empire, particularly under Akbar the Great.
Akbar the Great.
Yeah.
That's a name you hear a lot when talking about the Mughals.
Absolutely.
Why was he considered so great?
Well, he ruled for nearly 50 years.
Wow.
From 1556 to 1605.
Okay.
And during that time, he transformed the Mughal Empire from a relatively small kingdom into a vast and powerful empire.
Okay.
But it wasn't just about military conquest.
Right.
Akbar was known for his sharp intellect, his administrative reforms, and his policy of religious tolerance.
Okay.
Which was pretty revolutionary for his time.
Religious tolerance in the 16th century. That does sound pretty ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But before we dive into that,
Okay.
let's set the stage for our listeners.
Sure.
The Mughal Empire.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Yeah.
When did it start?
Okay.
And what was it known for?
The Mughal Empire was centered in what is now India.
Okay.
And it was founded in 1526 by Babur, a descendant of Genghis Khan and Timur.
Wow.
But our class notes focus mainly on the later rulers,
Okay.
starting with Akbar. The Mughals were known for their powerful rulers, their vast territory, and their incredible contributions to art, architecture, and culture.
Got it.
Yeah.
Powerful, vast, and culturally rich. Sounds like we've got a lot to cover.
We do.
So let's get back to Akbar.
Okay.
These notes mention something about his unique approach to the Rajputs.
Yes.
Who were the Rajputs?
Okay, so the Rajputs were powerful Hindu warrior clans in northern India.
Okay.
They had their own kingdoms and were known for their military prowess.
So instead of trying to completely crush them,
Right?
which many rulers before him had attempted,
Exactly.
Akbar smartly chose to incorporate them into the Mughal administration.
He did.
So he saw them as assets, not just enemies to be conquered.
Right.
That's pretty
It
clever.
was a very smart move.
How did he go about winning them over?
He used a combination of diplomacy, military might, and strategic marriages.
Okay.
The notes specifically mention his marriage to Jodhamai,
Oh, wow.
a Rajput princess, as a key moment in solidifying this alliance.
The classic keep your friends close and your enemies closer strategy,
Exactly.
but with a matrimonial twist.
Yeah,
It worked.
it did.
Awesome.
Many Rajput rulers became loyal allies of Akbar, and they played an important role in expanding and consolidating the Mughal Empire.
Wow.
The notes mention a few key figures like Bhagwandas and Man Singh,
Okay.
who rose to prominent positions within the Mughal military and administration.
So he's building this diverse and powerful administration,
He is.
drawing on the strengths of different groups within his empire.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see why they called him the Great.
Right.
What about this religious tolerance you mentioned?
Yes.
How did that play out?
This is where Akbar really stands out.
Okay.
He understood that a diverse empire required a policy that respected the beliefs of all its subjects,
Right.
not just the ruling elite.
Of course.
The notes highlight a few key decisions
Okay.
that demonstrate this commitment to religious tolerance.
Okay, give us the highlights. What did he actually do?
Well, in 1564, he abolished the jizya,
Okay.
a tax that had been imposed on non-Muslims in previous Islamic empires.
Right.
This was a huge step,
Yeah.
and it signaled his intention to create a more inclusive and just society.
Wow. Getting rid of a discriminatory tax.
I know.
That's a bold move for a ruler in that era.
Absolutely.
Were there any other examples of his religious tolerance?
Yes, he also repealed the pilgrim tax for Hindus,
Okay.
demonstrating respect for their faith and practices, and perhaps most significantly, he encouraged open dialogue and debate between scholars of different religions at his court.
Oh, wow.
He even built a special hall called the Ibadat Khana,
Okay.
dedicated to these interfaith discussions.
A hall dedicated to interfaith dialogue.
Yes,
That's incredible.
it is.
It sounds like he was genuinely interested in understanding
He was.
and respecting different belief systems.
Yes, and this wasn't just about political expediency. Akbar had a deep philosophical interest in religion, and he explored different faiths throughout his life.
Did he ever try to create a universal religion?
He did.
Right.
A blend of all the best bits from each faith.
Wow.
The notes talk about his attempt to establish a new religion called Dini Ilahi,
Okay.
which translates to divine faith.
Oh, wow.
It drew elements from Islam, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism,
Wow.
and even Christianity.
An interfaith religion.
Yes.
What a concept.
It was a fascinating idea.
Did it catch on?
Not really. The notes mention that it had a limited following,
Right.
mostly among members of Akbar's inner circle.
Yeah.
It didn't survive long after his death.
Seems like creating a universal religion is even harder than ruling an empire.
Apparently so.
But his efforts speak volumes about his open-mindedness and his desire for unity amidst diversity.
Absolutely.
His tolerance extended beyond just religious matters.
It did.
He also implemented social reforms aimed at improving the lives of women and promoting education.
Yes, he did.
Oh, tell me more about these reforms.
Okay.
What did he do?
He raised the age of marriage for girls,
Okay.
discouraged the practice of sati,
Right.
which was the self-immolation of widows on their husbands' funeral pyres.
Oh, wow.
And he even encouraged the education of girls,
Okay.
which was pretty revolutionary for the time.
So he was a social reformer, a religious pioneer,
Yeah,
and a brilliant military strategist.
it sounds like it.
Akbar was a busy guy.
He was.
And we haven't even touched on his administrative reforms yet.
I know, right?
Okay, I'm ready to dive into the nitty-gritty
Let's do it.
of how Akbar ran his empire.
Okay.
What kind of administrative genius are we talking about?
Well, Akbar inherited this system that had been largely built on the foundations laid by Sher Shah Suri, who had ruled just before the Mughals came to power.
Right.
But Akbar wasn't content with just maintaining that status quo.
Okay.
He saw the need for a more efficient and centralized system to govern this vast and diverse empire.
So he was building on the successes of the past,
He was.
but adding his own innovative twist.
Exactly.
What were some of the key features of his administrative system?
Well, the notes emphasize the importance of the Mansabdar system,
Okay.
which was this hierarchical system of ranking officials within the Mughal administration. It wasn't just about titles and prestige. It was a way to organize and incentivize the nobility,
Okay.
ensuring their loyalty and effectiveness.
The Mansabdar system.
Yeah,
It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel.
it does.
Break it down for us.
Okay.
How did it work?
So each official was assigned a numerical rank
Okay.
called a mansab,
Okay.
which determined their status, salary, and military obligations.
Okay.
It was a clever way to create a clear chain of command and ensure that everyone knew their place within the system.
So it was like this giant organizational chart,
Right.
but with swords and elephants.
Exactly.
The higher your rank,
Yeah.
the more powerful and wealthy you were.
Precisely, the higher your mansab,
Okay.
the greater your responsibilities and the greater your rewards.
Of course.
And to maintain their rank.
Yeah.
Mansabdars had to fulfill certain obligations,
Okay.
especially when it came to providing troops for the Mughal army.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how did they actually get paid?
So,
Did they get giant sacks of gold delivered to their palaces?
not quite.
Okay.
They were paid through a system called the Jagirdari system,
Okay.
which was essentially a land grant system.
Okay.
Instead of receiving direct payment,
Yeah.
Mansabdars were assigned the revenue rights to a specific piece of land called a jagir.
Ah, so they were like feudal lords
Yes.
collecting taxes from their assigned lands to fund their lavish lifestyles and military duties.
Pretty much.
But it wasn't a free-for-all.
It wasn't.
Akbar implemented a sophisticated land revenue system
He did.
to ensure fairness and efficiency in tax collection.
Yes,
The notes go into quite a bit of detail about this system,
they do.
highlighting its complexity and innovation.
It's very
A
interesting.
sophisticated land revenue system.
Yeah,
That sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry.
I know.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than meets the eye.
Oh, there is.
All right,
Akbar understood that a fair and efficient revenue system was crucial to the stability and prosperity of his empire. He didn't want to overburden the peasantry.
Right.
But he also needed to generate enough revenue to fund his ambitious projects.
Of course.
And maintain his powerful army.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Okay.
Tell me more about this innovative system.
One of the key features was the standardization of land measurement.
Okay.
Akbar introduced a standard unit of measurement called the ilahi gaj, which helped to eliminate disputes and ensure fairness in assessing land holdings.
So no more arguing about who got the bigger plot of land.
Exactly.
What else did this system involve?
Well, land was also categorized based on its productivity, with different tax rates applied to different categories. This ensured that farmers weren't unfairly burdened by taxes if their land wasn't as productive.
That's actually pretty fair.
It was a pretty fair system.
It sounds like Akbar was really trying to create a system that worked for everyone.
He was.
Not just the wealthy elite.
Exactly. And this approach extended to the way he interacted with the zamindars, who were hereditary landowners with significant influence in rural areas. Instead of trying to sideline them, Akbar recognized their importance and integrated them into his administrative system.
Smart move.
It was.
Why create unnecessary enemies when you can turn them into allies?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the Mansabdars, the Jagirdars, and the Zamindars, all working within this complex system of land revenue and administration. Who was at the top? Overseeing it all.
At the very top, of course, you had the emperor.
Right.
The ultimate authority in all matters.
Of course.
But Akbar didn't rule in isolation. He had a council of advisors, a sort of imperial cabinet, to assist him in governing this vast empire.
So even the most powerful ruler needs a good team to help him get things done.
They do.
Who were some of the key players in Akbar's inner circle?
The notes mention a few important officials, each with their own specific responsibilities. One of these was the wazir, who was essentially the chief financial officer, responsible for managing the empire's finances and overseeing revenue collection.
Sounds like a pretty important job.
It was.
Were there any checks on the wazir's power?
Yes.
We know Akbar was a big fan of checks and balances.
He was very much into checks and balances. And he reorganized the financial administration to curb the wazir's power. And created a new position, the diwan, who took on a lot of the wazir's responsibility.
So he was dividing power to prevent any one person from becoming too powerful.
Exactly.
Classic Akbar. Who else was part of this inner circle?
Another key figure was the Mir Bakshi, who was responsible for military administration and, by extension, the nobility. Think of them as the head of HR for the Mughal army. They handled appointments, promotions, and even intelligence gathering. So they were running a spy network. They were.
Oh, wow.
They had agents stationed throughout the empire, keeping an eye on things and reporting back to the Mir Bakshi, who in turn kept the emperor informed. It was a way to ensure loyalty and prevent rebellions.
Okay, so we've got the finances covered. The military's under control. What about justice? Who was in charge of that?
That was the responsibility of the chief qazi, who headed the judicial department and ensured that the laws of the Sharia Islamic law were upheld.
So the chief qazi was like the chief justice of the empire.
Exactly.
And then, of course, you had various other officials responsible for things like the royal household, religious endowments, and public works. It sounds like a well-oiled machine.
It does.
Did this administrative system extend beyond the imperial court?
It did.
How did Akbar govern such a vast and diverse territory?
That's where his provincial administration comes into play. The empire was divided into provinces, each headed by a governor who was responsible for maintaining order, collecting taxes, and implementing imperial policies in their region.
So it was like a mini empire within each province. Did these governors have a lot of autonomy?
They had a certain degree of autonomy, but Akbar had systems in place to ensure accountability. He appointed officials directly from the central government to key positions within each province. And he had a network of spies and informants to keep him abreast of what was happening throughout his empire.
It sounds like he was a master of delegation.
He was.
But also a control freak. But seriously, this administrative system is pretty impressive.
It is quite impressive.
It played a crucial role in the success and stability of the Mughal Empire.
It did.
But it wasn't just about structures and systems.
Right.
Akbar also understood the importance of symbolism and spectacle.
Yes.
In reinforcing his authority and legitimacy.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay.
Tell me about the Mughal flair for the dramatic. All right, so we've established that Akbar was this master administrator and a forward-thinking ruler.
Absolutely.
But what happened after his death?
Okay.
Did his successors manage to maintain this level of stability and innovation?
That's the question that takes us into the next chapter of Mughal history.
Okay.
And it's a chapter filled with both brilliance and turmoil. Akbar's son, Jahangir, ruled from 1605 to 1627.
Okay.
And his reign was marked by a continuation of many of Akbar's policies, but it also saw the rise of new challenges and the emergence of powerful personalities who would shape the empire's destiny.
Okay, so a mix of continuity and change.
Yeah.
What kind of ruler was Jahangir?
Okay, so Jahangir was a complex character.
Okay.
He was known for his love of art and justice, but he also had a weakness for indulgence.
Okay.
And could be indecisive at times. The notes mention his addiction to opium and wine.
Oh, wow.
Which sometimes affected his judgment.
Ah, so a bit of a party animal.
A little bit.
But he also had this strong sense of justice.
He did.
Okay.
The notes describe him as being deeply concerned with the welfare of his subjects. And he implemented policies aimed at ensuring fairness and protecting the vulnerable.
Okay.
He even established a chain of justice.
Why?
A golden chain with bells.
Oh, wow.
That anyone could ring if they felt they had been wronged. They needed to petition the emperor directly.
A golden chain of justice. That's a pretty powerful symbol.
It is.
It sounds like he was trying to create a system where everyone, even the lowliest peasant, had access to justice.
Exactly.
He also continued Akbar's policy of religious tolerance.
He did.
Although perhaps not with the same level of conviction.
Not quite.
So he wasn't quite the religious innovator that his father was.
Not quite, but he did maintain a relatively peaceful coexistence between different religious communities within the empire.
Okay, so he's maintaining stability, promoting justice, and keeping the peace between different religious groups. Sounds like a pretty decent ruler so far.
So far, so good.
What about the political landscape?
Okay.
Were there any challenges to his authority?
There were.
Okay.
One of the biggest challenges came from within his own family.
Oh, no.
The notes mention this significant rift that developed between Jahangir and his ambitious son, Shah Jahan, who would later become emperor himself.
Ah, those Mughal family dramas.
Right.
They always seem to end in power struggles.
Always some drama.
What was the source of this tension between Jahangir and Shah Jahan?
Well, Shah Jahan was a skilled military commander.
Okay.
And a popular figure. And he had his sights set on the throne.
Okay.
He also had the support of powerful allies, including his father-in-law, Asaf Khan, who was the brother of Jahangir's influential wife, Nur Jahan.
Nur Jahan.
Yeah.
That's a name we haven't heard yet.
Here she comes.
Who was she?
Okay, so Nur Jahan
Yeah.
was a remarkable woman.
Okay.
She was intelligent, politically savvy, and wielded considerable influence over Jahangir.
Okay.
The notes describe her as a shrewd strategist and a patron of the arts.
Okay.
She even had coins struck in her name.
Oh, wow.
Which was highly unusual for a woman in that era.
Coins with her face on them.
I know.
That's impressive.
It is.
She must have been quite a force to be reckoned with.
She was.
So where does she fit into this whole family drama?
So Nur Jahan favored her own daughter,
Okay.
Ladli Begum, and wanted her to marry Shah Jahan's younger brother, Shahryar, as a way to secure her own power and influence.
Right.
This, of course, didn't sit well with Shah Jahan.
Of course not.
And it created a rivalry that would eventually erupt into open rebellion.
Okay, so we've got competing ambitions, power-hungry wives, and scheming princes.
It's all there.
This is getting juicy.
It is.
What happened next?
Okay.
Did Shah Jahan try to usurp his father?
He did in 1622.
Okay.
Shah Jahan rebelled against Jahangir, but his rebellion was short-lived.
Right.
Jahangir managed to subdue his son and retain control.
Okay.
But this conflict highlighted the fragility of power within the Mughal Empire.
It's a reminder that even the most powerful empires are vulnerable.
They are.
To internal divisions and power struggle.
Absolutely.
So what was the ultimate fate of Shah Jahan? Did he ever get his chance to rule?
He did, but he had to wait a few more years.
Okay.
After Jahangir's death in 1627, Shah Jahan finally ascended to the throne.
But not without bloodshed. He had his brother Shahryar and other potential rivals executed to secure his position.
Wow, that's ruthless.
It was.
It seems like those Mughal successions were never peaceful affairs.
Never a dull moment.
So what kind of ruler did Shah Jahan turn out to be?
Shah Jahan's reign, from 1627 to 1658, is often described as the golden age of the Mughal Empire.
Oh, wow.
He was a patron of the arts and architecture.
Right.
And his reign saw the construction of some of the most iconic Mughal monuments, including the Taj Mahal.
The Taj Mahal. Now that's a legacy.
But the legacy.
I'm guessing the notes go into detail about this architectural wonder.
They describe the Taj Mahal as a masterpiece of modal architecture. Built entirely of white marble.
Wow.
And adorned with intricate carvings and precious stones.
Amazing.
It was a mausoleum that Shah Jahan built for his beloved wife, Mumtaz Mahal, who died in childbirth.
A monument to love.
It's a testament to the opulence and artistry of Shah Jahan's reign.
It is.
But were there any dark sides to his rule?
While Shah Jahan's reign was marked by cultural brilliance and prosperity, it also saw continued military campaigns and conflicts, particularly in the Deccan region of southern India. He was determined to expand the Mughal Empire southward, and he waged wars against the Deccan sultanates, often with brutal consequences.
So he was this complex figure.
He was.
A patron of the arts and a ruthless conqueror.
Yeah, a bit of both.
It seems like those two sides often went hand in hand with the Mughal emperors.
They did.
What about his successors? Did they manage to maintain this balance of power and cultural achievement?
That's where we get to the most controversial figure in Mughal history. Aurangzeb, Shah Jahan's son. His reign from 1658 to 1707 marked a significant departure from the policies of his predecessors. And it's often seen as the beginning of the Mughal Empire's decline.
So Aurangzeb is the bad guy in this story.
It's not that simple. Aurangzeb was a devout Muslim, and he implemented policies that reflected his strict interpretation of Islamic law. He reintroduced the jizya tax on non-Muslims, destroyed Hindu temples, and persecuted religious minorities. These actions alienated many of his subjects and led to rebellions and unrest.
So he basically abandoned the religious tolerance.
He did.
That had been a hallmark of the Mughal Empire since Akbar.
He moved away from that.
And this had a profound impact on the empire's stability.
It did.
He also waged constant wars. Expanding the empire to its greatest territorial extent, but also draining its resources and fueling resentment among his subjects. So he was expanding the empire, but also sowing the seeds of its destruction.
It seems that way.
It's a classic case of overreach and intolerance.
It is.
What happened after Aurangzeb's death?
Aurangzeb died in 1707 after a long and tumultuous reign. His successors were weak and ineffective. And the Mughal Empire, once a symbol of power and grandeur, rapidly declined, eventually becoming a shadow of its former self.
What a fascinating and complex story.
It is.
It's amazing to think that one empire could encompass such a wide range of personalities, policies, and events.
Absolutely.
We've seen religious tolerance and brutal persecution, artistic brilliance, and military conquest, all within the span of a few generations.
It's incredible.
It's testament to the enduring power of history.
It is.
To teach us about the complexities of human nature and the rise and fall of civilizations.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the founding of the Mughal Empire to its eventual decline.
We have.
What stands out to you as the most important takeaway from these class notes?
I think what's most striking is the way these notes capture the dynamism and contradictions of the Mughal Empire. We see moments of incredible innovation and tolerance.
But we also see the dangers of intolerance, overreach, and a constant struggle for power. It's a story that continues to resonate today.
It certainly does. So what are you most curious about after exploring this fascinating history?
That's a good question.
What aspects of the Mughal Empire would you like to delve deeper into?
Yeah.
Share your thoughts with us. We love to hear from you.
Yes.
And stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll be exploring another captivating historical topic.
Sounds good.
Until then, keep learning and keep exploring.